Sam Rayner, thank you for coming on the All Figured Out podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
I'm so excited to dive in. I messaged you and oh my gosh. What is happening with me? Aaron Trelaw. Whoa, that was weird. On Instagram. I messaged your personal actually, so I don't actually know if you saw it. Because I was listening to your episode on Aaron's podcast
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was actually at the gym on vacation and I was like, oh, I really want to listen to I like listening to guests before I interview them so I can kind of, feed off of some of the things I learn about them. And it was such a fantastic episode. And I messaged you guys right away, halfway through the episode, to say I've actually never heard a founder speak so honestly about their story as the way that you did on that
Oh,
podcast.
thank you. I mean, it's been an up and down story is the reality, right? So I
Yeah.
think that is something that's relatable probably for many people. Whether, it doesn't matter what's happening in your life, but life is not always a
No,
consistent achievement, goal setting thing. So
no.
anyway, I'm happy to share it because I hope that it resonates with some people.
This is All Figured Out. I'm Andrea Barr. I'm a career coach for parents, a mom of two, and I absolutely believe that you can continue to grow personally and professionally while protecting family time. We're about to figure this work, life, and parenting stuff out together.
And maybe motivate some people to keep going. Because I think that's, at the end of the day, that's kind of like yesterday we were talking about our superpowers. And I think it's just continually trudging along a path that aligns with you. That's my superpower. And I hope everyone else could find that for themselves because it keeps you fulfilled at the end of the day. And like, I think it will achieve the results that I want to achieve. But the jury's still out. We're still building, it's still new.
Totally. And like,
Yeah.
it's kind of that old thing where like, you quit, like someone listening could have like quit the job and was like, oh my God, I made a mistake, or crap, I didn't start the business didn't flourish in the way that I wanted it to after quitting the job or getting laid off, which most of us have been laid off before.
Yeah.
That's also super relatable. And you feel like the world is crumbling, or you feel that really normal feeling of like embarrassment or shame, like, oh my gosh, everyone's staring at me, when also nobody cares. And if anything, in your story, which we'll get into, what it looked like was that people, your community that you built with Better Basics, rallied around you. You closed the doors there and then you created a new brand, and you've got these people who were like, oh yeah, hell yeah, whatever you put out, we're in, which is wicked.
It
And
was wicked. And it was like
yeah.
very, very fulfilling for me because that helped me, I guess, find what I was going to do next. Once I realized, wow, there's people out there just like me who care about the things that I care about, who want the things that, okay, I'm not in this on my own, because you can
Yeah.
sometimes feel like, yeah, you're on your own island, and you also can feel this like imposter syndrome or your ego get in the way where you're not good enough or you failed, and those things that our mind likes to tell us, and that holds us back from actually going after the things we love and what we want to achieve.
It's so
So
true.
that's, I hope, what people can take from this story, and what I'm reminding myself of it every day too, because it doesn't go
Now it'll be
away.
recorded.
Yeah.
You can replay this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm so
Yeah.
excited. Okay, take us back to corporate girly Sam.
Okay.
Before kids, you have 2 kids now, but before the babies, before the entrepreneurship, you were on that straight and narrow. You were on that ladder. Tell us about what you were up to and what that looked like.
Yeah. Well, I spent, gosh, I think it was 12 years in senior marketing roles in consumer products and specifically kind of the beauty and wellness space. So I did have a career. I started in advertising. I went and got my MBA. And then I did have a career with 3 companies: AG Hair, Lululemon, and Sage Natural Wellness. And I stayed in Vancouver, which is where I'm from, for that career. Um, and I will say I've always been very achievement and goal oriented. However, I was trying to find my place in terms of aligning with my creative brain, my business ambitious brain, and then this other passion of mine, which is kind of this wellness industry. And that's
Mm.
why the Lululemon Sage, especially towards the end of my career, I felt very much in my place. Like I was surrounded by people who cared about things that I cared about. And although it was a corporate career, I would say I was really lucky to find these companies that did align with those values. And in fact, I had completed my MBA program and was applying for jobs, and I received an offer from a very massive conglomerate, fast moving consumer goods company in Toronto. There was like 7,000 applicants. I got through. It was a very rigorous interview process, 10 interviews, flying out to Toronto multiple times. And they gave me the offer. And it was a sales job for a cleaning product that I just did not align with. And I ended up declining. That was early in my career. I was like, no, this is just not for me. I just didn't feel like the environment was right. Didn't feel like the product was personally aligned, like something I would use. And I think even early on in my career, I was ambitious, but also knew I had to align with my interests and values. And I almost took a sacrifice for that. I sacrificed a salary, I sacrificed maybe a faster growth path, prestige, and I ended up working for a smaller startup. But look at where I am now. It's definitely, so I think if I look back in the moment, I didn't wasn't really thinking this way, but I was very values aligned and probably always knew I wanted to be in more of a disruptive creative space, a smaller business than a large, massive business where you have less ability to impact change.
Yeah, I hear the word I actually have on this, um, I don't know, sometimes I dabble in vision boards. I have this little vision board that's going right now that's in my bathroom, and I actually wrote the word audacious because that's something that I wanna, like, lean into more because I can be a people pleaser. Anyways, what I kinda hear in that is, like, audacious in the best way where people probably were like, "I'm sorry, you got that job at" say it was, like, J&J or one of these big Toronto companies, CPG, and you're like and I'm making that up, I actually don't know if it's J&J, but, um and then you're like and people are probably like, "Who are you to say no to that?" And I don't know if people actually said that to you, or maybe you felt that in
They,
those, like,
they
moments.
there was a sentiment for sure. The
Yeah,
career coach from the programs like, you're sorry, you're not taking this. And yeah, it was a global brand that would have given me a lot of recognition and it was great salary. But I think
yeah.
what's the lesson in it? I just knew I was walking through the hallways. Everyone is in a gray suit, the whole interview process, the product line, the role. I just knew it wasn't for me. And I think if I look back as well, yeah, I'm corporate Sam, but I've always been a little bit like I like to ruffle feathers. I like to push
Mm,
the buttons. I was never one to follow. I hated authority when I was little. Like I just didn't follow the rule. I wanted to make my own rules.
yeah. But then
And
it
I
sounds and it's
probably
kinda
wouldn't have done
cool.
very well in a corporate environment forever. Like, I could have
Yeah.
played the game and I would have been
Yes.
faking it.
Yes, which is
Yeah.
exhausting.
Yeah, and someone along the way would have been like, "No, you don't belong here." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't. I
Like,
know.
"Step down, woman." You're
I
like, "Mm,
know." I mean,
no, no."
at the time was very ambitious, but I also loved dancing on tables in nightclubs and going to like I had a multi layers and I loved the creative industry. Like when I looked at
Mm,
my social group and who I was gravitating towards, it wasn't anyone traditional. I really was drawn, I think, to more creative pursuits. And that's
mhm,
also now looking back, I see why marketing and then entrepreneurship makes a lot of sense. Cause I think a lot of
yeah.
people who are drawn to those careers, they are the disruptors. A lot of them are very creative and they see something, they're kind of visionary, they want to create rather than execute.
Yes, totally. Were you thinking at this point when you were kind of building building this career and you're making these big decisions, was there any point where you were thinking about like, what does my future look like? What do, children, was that anything that was kind of in and on your mind?
Children was not on my mind until later on. I was at Lululemon as like a senior brand manager and I think I was feeling fairly burnt out at that point. I was almost 4 years in, and my parents had both just passed away, and I think in my mind, I was like, "My break." this is so this is so not coming from anyone with knowledge of motherhood. I was like, "My break will be maternity leave."
Yeah, but we all thought that. We
Yeah,
all thought
I'll
that.
just take a year and have a
Yes.
baby, and then I'll be, like, refreshed and ready to,
Yes.
like, go back at
Yes.
it. Anyway, didn't pan out. I had years of infertility.
Mm,
And, so I was for a while, I would say, like, holding back in my career or trying to keep things stable with the mindset of, oh, I need a good maternity leave. I need to know that I'll have like, top up coverage and pay and come back to a good job until finally the pregnancy didn't happen. And that gave me the freedom, if anything, to say, like, well, you know what? I actually don't like what I'm doing right now, or I'm meant to be doing something different and called to be doing something more challenging for me, which was to start my own business. So yeah, yes. Towards the end of my career, yes. Early on, no. I was not thinking about pregnancy or babies or families. But I did like I was from Vancouver and there was something about the lifestyle here. I could picture it was like that revolving door. I was like, "Okay, I can move to Toronto. I could work for this mass conglomerate. I would be a chain smoking, whiskey drinking single woman, end up in Hong Kong in a big old glass tower, high power job." I was like,
The visual, the
yeah, I could picture
visual.
that life for me.
You'd
I
be
was like, I'm
hot.
from
You'd be a
I would
hot
be in a
yeah,
pink power
yeah,
suit. I would
yep.
just be owning it, click, 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 telling everyone what to do. That was a path. That was one option. And then I was like, yeah, but would I be happy? And then I
Mhm.
think, so I had at least a little bit of awareness around that. And I was like, well, you know where I'm happiest is doing yoga with my friends or going for a hike on the weekend, like being near the water. And I just looked at the holistic part of my life. And I'm really close to my family and they're all here. And so that also, and my husband, I had met him. He also was part of this because I had met him right as I was finishing my MBA. I was actually on exchange in Paris, but I had met him in Vancouver. I was like, see, I'm going to Paris, finish my MBA. I'm going to work for L'Oreal. And then again, he was part of it. I was like, oh, it would be giving up. It would be giving up this other part of my life that really gives me a lot of purpose and fulfillment to go pursue that path. And I'm glad I didn't because I then ended up marrying him and having a couple babies together and like building
Aw.
my whole career and our family and everything together.
Yeah, congrats. It's so awesome, and I think this is a story that's just so inspiring, and for it's just really inspiring for the I do actually hope that people somehow I'll have to do some marketing around this, but there are people who before kids listen to stories like this as, like, you have decisions you can make and, like, you can feel empowered in those decisions, and you can think about the future and not feel superstitious. And I also don't think that what's talked about enough is that story, which is it's so unfair how common the story is around people who are like, "I'm gonna make this career decision once I have the kid," or, "I'm gonna do that thing once I have the mat leave here," and how often it happens where it doesn't pan out that way.
Yeah.
Can you take us to that time for you and when you're like, "Okay, I'm just gonna, like okay, I'm kind of at the end of my rope here, I'm kind of craving to do something else, but let me just wait it out for the mat leave." Like, how did you survive that time and feeling like time was frozen, I imagine?
Yeah. I don't, it wasn't great. Like I was still goal oriented in my career, but I think again, yeah, on the back burner, on the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm in a really great spot. I'll just take a year off and I'll come back and I'll take a year off. And then again, yeah, that mindset is not great for performance and for how you show up, I think, as a leader. Um, Although I was like on paper achieving success, I think internally there was a struggle and just a lack of fulfillment. And I until I what led me to like leave was again just trying to take like a big picture view of my life. And honestly, it was my parents passing away. And one of my mom's kind of last dying words to me was, you need to live life harder. Like that was her
Mm,
mission for all of us. There's four kids, but she said, we had a chance to talk about, what would you want for us? And what's your greatest regret? And, what are your favorite moments and all that? And she was like, you just have to live life hard. You just don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what the
mm,
future is going to hold. So like, go after it. So that was kind of going on in the back of my mind. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen with the babies. Maybe I won't have them. Maybe this is a chance to start something that I've always wanted to do in the back of my mind, but never had the courage to do it. You know, again, yeah, going against the grain, traditional path, you have an MBA, you get a great career, you have a good salary, it's all cushy, the golden handcuffs. And then to leave all that to start something is scary. And you do have to make a sacrifice to do that as well.
yep. Yeah.
But it was a worthwhile sacrifice. I'm so glad I did it. Even though that business didn't exactly pan out the way I wanted it to either. And fast forward, I did get pregnant and had 2 babies all in the time frame too. So I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna leave my job and start a business." And then, of course, that's when we'd had, like, 4 failed rounds of IVF. I was
Ugh.
starting to consider adoption, and, of course, we had a donor. Actually, my sister donated her eggs, and then it panned out then, but we were not expecting it to, and so, of course, I launched a business, and then something like 9 months or 10 months later, had a baby.
Sam,
Yeah.
are you writing your book? Are
No,
you, like
I
you writing it yet? Everyone else is writing a
Not
book who
yet.
I'm like, "Yeah, you could write a book," but I'm like, I think Sam Rayner needs to write a book."
I feel like it's a made for TV movie because it was my identical twin sister who donated her like, the
Oh,
whole
oh,
Yeah.
come on. I have full body goosebumps.
Yeah, so that was crazy. That is another example of a time where you just don't know what's gonna happen. The doctors had said to us at that point, we're both 36, she had 2 kids, and they had said to us, like, "She's not a viable candidate. You're both too old. You have similar low AMH, low FSH, low ovarian count. Like, it's just not worth it. Don't waste your money," basically. And she said and I was like, "Yeah, they're probably right." I'd given up at this point, but she was like, "Let's just try. Let's just try and just try. Like, we'll at least check that box. Like, say we explored this as an avenue." And it worked.
Oh my
It
twice.
worked. It was yeah, and then she went and did it again. She had
Oh,
one egg from that round, one healthy egg that became a healthy baby. If you've ever done IVF, you try and get like a huge
I
batch,
can't
like
imagine. Yeah,
10.
right.
'Cause as they grow in a lab, they often don't survive, and then when you transfer them in, they often don't survive, so you want more, you want lots. Anyway, we had one chance, and it became my son, and then we I did it again, we had one chance again, and it became my daughter. So, yeah, I'm feeling very lucky.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck yeah. You deserved that.
even in amongst the, like, "Oh, shit, what am I gonna do? I started a business now." I was like, "Oh, I'm so grateful this worked. Like, holy cow, I got what I was really hoping to do. And I went and started this business, which I also really felt calling to do. Yeah.
And there's, like, gratitude and, like, the mysticism, of course, around all of it, and there's decisions that you made to make it
Oh, yeah.
happen.
I
You
don't
lived
honestly
hard.
believe in manifestation. I wanted a baby. I had to grind it out.
Yes!
Like 5 failed rounds of IVF, doing everything I could, exploring every option, there's this pivot in the business, but there's a pivot in life.
Mm,
Okay, it might not be the way you wanted it to be. What's the
right,
alternative way of getting there?
right.
And I did really let go of having genetic attachment to my kids. I was like, "Well, that's fine. I think I could still be a mom. Look at
Yeah,
adoption."
yeah.
Anyway, it just turned out I have a twin sister, and so we end up with
I
2
just
kids. It's
I
like
did
that.
not know that part of
Yeah,
your
that
story, and
part
that
of
is, like,
it.
freaking unbelievable. I also wanted
Yeah.
to say I'm so incredibly sorry for the passing of your
My
parents
parents,
way
thanks.
too
Yeah.
soon, and that
Yeah, they were
is just
young.
yeah, and I remember, like, I heard you say they're, like, healthy and, doing all the things right and ate
Yeah.
organic, and it's just another one of those freaking things in life where you're like, "Come on," like, not fair.
Not
Um,
fair,
not fair. Yeah.
can't control fertility. These are
Nope.
health things. We can take some preventative steps and some things, but also at some point you do have to like let go a little bit. And that's really hard for all the achievers out there who otherwise, have set a goal. You know what you need to do, XYZ, you go after it, you achieve your goal. And life has been very predictable up until this point, for me, anyways. And then that, really threw a wrench in it. But I think it was probably necessary for me to have, take a moment, take a beat, reflect on what matters, refocus my energy. And even today, how I try and manage my time in my life, I really try and give myself space to be with my family, to be calm, and I'm not about the hustle culture, like, I'm growing a fast-growing business right now, but I also feel like it's given me perspective to log off at 4 if I need to, and go to the park because it's a nice day with my kids.
Yeah, good for
Yeah.
you. So both of your parents had cancer, and I understand
Yeah.
that that's a big part of the journey into business
Yes.
number 1, which we've hinted at Better Basics, and I actually think that quite a few people listening have purchased. I was a consumer of Better Basics. I actually
Oh,
don't think I told
that's
you that.
amazing.
Um, Loved the branding. It was so beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
I was all about that, like, creating a little nook in my house for, like, the, refill station and like that
Yeah.
whole vibe. So tell us about that. So how did you take inspiration? I think so many people listening have inspiration and they've got this like burning desire. How did you go from that burning desire to being like, fuck it, let's do well, we obviously know your mama was in your ear being like, live harder, go for it.
Go for it.
How did you take that first step?
So I knew the umbrella mission is wellness and trying to support people to lead kind of healthier lives. And I knew my skill set was around developing products and product marketing because I'd had a career there. So I was like, those are the two things I want to achieve with this business. The actual brand, the actual product line, like that, I had a lot more flexibility in my mind around and actually built business plans around a lot of things. Better Basics came from opportunity that we saw when we looked out at personal care and cleaning and just like the amount of plastic waste,
Mm.
um, knowing more and more about plastics and what they're doing in our bodies, microplastics everywhere, the lack of the poor, recycling system that we have. We've been, the false education we've been given around recycling. So there's a lot of, I guess, like education that went into the launch of Better Basics. And then the opportunity that we saw, which was us as consumers, and we saw lines along the street of people trying to refill their products and all those little refilleries just feeling not very efficient for a busy working
Totally.
person. Like, I just don't have
Totally.
time to go weigh my jars and bring them and I'll forget them. And they're like, what's a system that we could create that, leverages digital marketing and online and, you know, more direct to consumer, but we can create these high quality products that they can refill and reduce plastic. That was the whole mission. And plastic and toxins, I should say, because at this
Mhm.
stage, I've also completely cleaned my routine in my home between the cancer. And when you go through cancer, they actually give you like lists of dirty dozen ingredients that you should exclude in personal care and cleaning products. So you get very educated on ingredient lists.
And
You
why
start
not
removing.
before that? Why not before the cancer
Yeah, no,
diagnosis?
it's shocking, really. It's shocking that you're like, oh, these endocrine disruptors have been in all these products, but now that you have a breast cancer diagnosis, you should remove. What about before the breast cancer diet? What about everybody else who's like using these every day? And then with the cleaning products, there's just a lot of carcinogens and things that we're
Oof.
breathing, and we're killing our natural biome by bleaching everything and using ammonia and stuff. So that education was growing with me as I was supporting them in their cancer treatment. And then through the infertility, same story. You go into infertility treatments, they give you a list of products you should start avoiding, and they're endocrine disruptors, but anything with fragrance because of the parabens and the phthalates,
Yeah.
any of some of the sunscreens, and you get into it. Now I'm reading ingredient lists. I've been cleaning everything. I've been really minimizing everything in my home. So that's who I was trying to speak to. Good quality products that are clean, but do the job, and then they reduce plastic. So we had these like, this big intention around the brand, and I still love what we created there. I still think there's a place in the world for it. We just couldn't, we kind of did it for 3 years and we couldn't scale it to the next level. But I guess I would
Tricky.
also say part of the like decision making around Better Basics, like I said, my pillars were wellness and some sort of product development. But I also was looking for an opportunity that I could own. Like I'm doing market
Mm.
analysis, I'm doing consumer analysis, I'm looking at where there's gaps, I'm trying to find a place where we could fit a brand. So
Yeah.
there's a business side of my brain as well that's looking for where can I build something meaningful that aligns. Yeah, and with Better Basics, we grew it for 3 years. So we opened a number of stores. We grew it online. We launched it around the pandemic. So I think the official launch was December 2020.
Oh my
So it was
gosh.
right in that year. Yeah, but it was kind of nice because everyone was at home. So we had a lot of time to work on the business plan and
Yeah.
develop all the back end stuff, all the products. And then we launched December, and there was a big swell of support around local and female founded, and everyone had a little bit of excess income to invest in higher quality home cleaning products. But then what we saw is it like kind of grew and then it flatlined. And when it
Mm,
flatlined, we tried a pivot into wholesale that just didn't also land. So we're like, oh, if we could get into Whole Foods, then we'd have like such a meaningful business. That would be a great business. We'd be so happy with it. And we pitched and we went on stages, we got featured, we met the buyers, and they just didn't buy. Right. So the product line wasn't designed for that shelf. And then we also heard about the price point being too high.
mm,
And I went back to the unit economics. This is where the business comes in. I'm like, the unit economics don't actually make sense until I scale it huge. Like we needed
right.
Costco in order to make any money. And so I'm like, well, we're basically bleeding cash. It's
Mm,
not designed for the grocery channel that we probably need to be in for a brand like this. And we can afford as well to run ads in DTC, and ads just started getting way more expensive. And so I'm
yep.
like, well, the business model doesn't make sense. So I need to rebuild the business model. And then while I rebuild the business model, is this the product people are willing to pay for?
Right.
Which is a
Right.
deeper, harder question to ask.
And it requires a lot, like, that's a different you went at it from one type of business. It was starting off as D2C
Yeah.
with, like,
Yeah.
open keeping the doors open for something else, but that's a totally different business model, and that requires so much freaking cash, and potentially taking on investors and things like which I'm sure, like,
Yeah.
that's a whole other
We
ball game.
we did that was one of the things we went to do. And I went and did Techstars, if you're familiar with that. It's like
Oh.
a global accelerator for tech enabled brands, and they put you on a platform and you pitch investors. Really, they get you investor ready. So you go through your pitch deck, you go through your financials, you go through your business statements, you put the whole strategy together, and then you stand on a stage and you go and you pitch 200 times. And I did that. Well,
200?
yeah, I was like 32 weeks pregnant. I was so pregnant. And towards the end, I think I was 38 weeks pregnant for the last one. There was like the demo day. And they're like, "Are you flying to Toronto?" I'm like, "You guys, I cannot get on an airplane. Like, I am, no,
Literally
I
will
could
be
be
rejected
giving,
at the gate.
yeah, like and I wouldn't do that to
Yeah.
priority number one is the family and the babies. I'm like, I'm not taking a risk.
No.
You know how much effort it took for me to grow this baby. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
doing anything to harm the baby.
No.
So I was like, no, you are stuck with me on Zoom and um, watch me do it. That was also, that's part of, I think, part of my motto for me too. When I feel overwhelmed, I'm like, just watch me. I'm going to
I
do it.
like that.
I got it. I got it. Like, I can do this. So I
Yeah.
did, but I didn't land the investor.
Ugh,
I did the pitch. I think the pitch
bitches.
went well. Yeah, the pitch went well. I think the business itself wasn't differentiated enough, and they saw unit economics and they just saw the growth path and they were like, yeah, it looks nice,
Yep.
sounds good, not investable. That's fair.
Yeah. Yes, totally. Because and I think this is such an interesting story. I friggin' love, like, the How I Built This episodes and stuff, and what I
Hmm.
like about those types of episodes is that they really share the real of it all, and they kind of like, you're pulling back the curtain to be like, "Yeah, it's great if you have a product that looks great. You've got a ton of, like, UGC, people making content about it, all that, but if the math isn't math, and or if it's just,
Yeah.
like, not at the right time or whatever these factors are, like, but then it makes people, I think, almost, yeah, again, people just like, I'm so appreciate you, like, sharing all this because it's like, sometimes you could do everything right. Like, I actually don't think there's a single thing else that you could have done to, like, make it work. It's
Well,
just
that I had a, I had a mentor, and when I'd had my second baby, and so I was like home with the baby. My business counselor was going through severe health challenge. She had to step away from the business. So, in our personal lives, we have these real challenges and needs to focus on our health and the well being of our families and ourselves. And the business was kind of like trucking along, but not really thriving. Anyway, I was still pitching. I went and did a big trade show. I was pumping in the convention center. My, yeah, I was pumping in the convention center. My baby was like 4 months old, maybe at this point.
oh my gosh.
So I was going for it. And then this mentor was like, listen, you have tried everything. Like at some point, there's something that just not clicking here. He's like, I think it's time to take the gas off. And that was hard, but I think he was right. And ultimately, what I decided to do was give myself I call it a pause. I publicly announced, like, hey, this business is struggling. It still has meaning to me. I believe in the products. Here's why I launched it. Here's what we do, blah, blah, blah. And then I gave myself a timeline. I have 30 days to sell through everything. And I just put it out there on social media. And that's what people showed up and they bought like everything. So I achieved the goal, which was amazing.
A
And I
goal
felt,
right to the end. You were like, "I'm gonna have one last goal here. Imma hit
yeah, I was like, well,
it."
what can I do? What can I do to
Yeah.
minimize also for us?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes. Cost risk, yeah.
yeah, there's debt involved in the business. We're paying for a 3PL that's like
Yeah.
barely fulfilling orders. I have to move the product to my house. I don't have space in my house for it. All those things that are happening behind the scenes. So basically, ask for help. People showed up, sold through the product, and then I called it a pause. I wasn't ready to say, like, we're shutting this thing down forever. Cause I think there's this part of me, again, with all the people that showed up, the rallying behind it, I was like, there's something here. I just don't
Mm.
know if it's the right thing.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
pause felt like a relief as well, because then I could focus on my daughter for a bit. So I really did pause and just didn't touch anything. I didn't touch social media. I just was like, didn't touch a website,
Mm.
just focused on her. She was around 6 months. And then actually ended up in the 2 years before relaunching a business, I took a job as a professor at at the university at SFU at the beauty school, but I was teaching part-time. And so it was perfect because I was evaluating what to do with my life. I didn't know I was looking at a corporate career again. Like I really felt like a strong calling still to wellness, to my values. I really wanted to make that business work. It didn't work the way I wanted. Anyway, that gave me a little beat to work. I was on campus 1 day a week. So then I
Mm.
could focus on also big picture thinking, developing all the curriculum for the courses, educating the students on businesses and marketing and branding and developing products. So it was
So
perfect because I'm
cool.
like using myself as a case
Cool.
study,
Yeah.
teaching them what I've learned, and at the same time reflecting on how I could make it better.
That is so cool. What a case study of, like, that what you could do with that pause. People think like, "Oh, a pause, am I gonna have this gap in my resume, or am I gonna get bored or whatever?" You're like, "Okay, I can honor the pause, and there's a little bit inside of me that still wants to be active." I imagine, like, going onto a campus would be, like, so fun and, like, just
Oh, it was
inspiring to be around the
so
young people.
invigorating and
Yeah.
all their perspective on ideas. I was teaching product development, new product design, and brand strategy, which is what I've done in my career, but also so critical to startups. And there was a lot of students in my class who were in entrepreneurship and had startup ideas. And because I had pitched and been through Techstars, I've been in this startup ecosystem for a bit. So I had a feel for what that's like. Anyways, it was great. It was very invigorating. I don't think my long term career is to be in the academic institution, but I loved teaching and I may still go back and teach. I'm sessional instructor, so they'll bring me in just for these topics.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, to the business school. But right now that my current business is taking up so much of my time that I have to focus on the business.
Nice. What a good problem to have, and how lucky.
Yeah.
I'm just keep thinking about these, like, they could be your age or younger or whatever, but, like, these people sitting in the audience or listening to you, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, how lucky are they that you can be like." So I remember I had a business law professor at, Western, and he would come in, he was so cool, and he would come in and he'd be like, "Alright, so I had this client yesterday," and I'm like, "Oh my god, like, how fun." So I'm just picturing those people being like, "Oh my god, she actually did the damn thing. She's not just hypothetically talking about it," which is so nice.
Yeah, I think it is nice. And then I do think in the fourth year classes in the business schools, they often do bring in working professionals in those industries to teach the classes. And what it also allowed me to do is I have a network of people who've been in marketing and product design and development. I brought all these guest speakers in, and they also inspired the students on what they could do or pursue as careers. Because I think at that stage, that none of them were my age. A lot of them are really young, right?
Oh,
They're
okay, so
like
the 4th year, yeah.
yeah, they're fourth year, they're 21, 22. They are trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives. They chose a business degree often because, you know, it's a predictable path or it seems reliable or it's good. Parents tell you it's a good area, but
Yeah.
they don't know what they want to do with their careers. So I'm like, this is what it looks like to actually work in marketing. Here's what it
Cool.
looks like to work in product development and design. Yeah, so
Oh,
it was really fun. Yeah, so I did that for a year and a half. And while I was doing that, because it was part time, I was also working on what do I do with better basics
oh,
that
right,
led
because you
me
were
to
like it
launch Maris Dae.
because 'cause we're on pause, so you're like, "Okay, how do we" how did you move through, like, what was who were the people you were leaning on? What tools, what resources, like, what was helping you kind of I was gonna say tickle that inspiration. What a weird phrase, but you know what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
what was
Oh, it
your
was like the
decision making?
community. 10
Yeah?
out of 10, it was the people around the brand at Better
Mm,
Basics. Like, you were a customer, I didn't even know that, but oh my God, I'm so grateful. Like, I had these people in my kind of circle around the brand that I just wanted to spend time with and learn
cool.
from. And so, one thing that I was teaching the students was design thinking and how to really try and uncover problems for your customer. So what I did was really focus on this community and I just went and spent time with people and I interviewed them about their days, what were their pain points. And a lot of them are moms. I listened to a lot of moms.
Mm,
They walked me through their morning routine and their after work routine. I was like, don't talk to me about work. I just want to know about your outside of work life. How do you wake up? What do you do in the morning? What's the first thing you do? What's the next thing you do? What do you eat? How do you choose what you eat? We went through it all. And then I just tried to listen and code it and like try and find places where I could support them. It was
cool,
really, really interesting on the
cool.
women because there's a lot of moms on the podcast.
Yep.
What I was left was like, oh my God, we put ourselves last with
Mm,
everything.
mm.
Like you listen to the morning routine, you're like, yeah, you didn't eat for 2 hours because you took care of everyone else's meals, packed their lunches, got them to their daycares or their schools. Then you did this, then you did a load of laundry, and then you did that. And then you screeched into your office with like a granola bar and a coffee to go. And like that was your breakfast. And I was like, oh man, they are so tapped. They're so tapped for time,
Yep.
but also very intentional with their choices because
Mm,
so many are educated and they do want health for them and their families. So I was like, "Okay, I what can I do to support these women?" And one thing I heard was like, "My shower is my only break." Or my skincare routine is the only thing that I would like fit time in for. And I was like, okay, well, maybe that's my chance. Like maybe that's her little moment in her day, ooh, her like breath. Maybe that's where I can give her something better than what she has today that meets all of her needs, like her health needs and performance was the other thing. So, health and performance, I'm going to spend money on it, but don't waste my time if it doesn't do something for me. So, I was like, okay, better basics. This is the miss. We were healthy, we were better for the planet, but I never focused on how it's better in terms of the performance to make your life easier or better. So if I had come up,
mhm.
and that's where I started exploring opportunities. I was not set on skincare. I was like, what's an ingredient that I could find or a method that I could find that would make her life easier? Could have been a cleaning ingredient or product. And initially I was thinking it would still be in that category. And I rebuilt, I found a team of biochemists I could work with. I was like, what are ingredients that we could use that would make they're natural, non-carcinogenic, non-endocrine disrupting, botanical that aren't owned by, L'Oreal at this stage and that
Yeah.
could actually help make a difference. And then we landed on seaweed. And when we landed on seaweed, I was like, oh, I'm like, it's been here all along. Like I'm from Vancouver. I spend every waking minute that I can on the beach. We are surrounded by seaweed. And not only were we surrounded by seaweed, we were surrounded by a unique type of seaweed that their species that only comes from the Pacific Northwest
Come
because we have
on!
cold oceans here, really cold, deep oceans, and a certain mineral content. We know when you look out here, and that's why people love Vancouver and love to visit, the, the, the wild nature we have access to here,
Mm.
the freshness of the nature we have access to here. Anyway, the seaweed, I was like, wow, we have really good seaweed. No one's really using it for these types of products. what's all the research around seaweed? Wow, there's been like decades of research around seaweed and the polysaccharide content in seaweed and how that's better for your skin. So it has repairing benefits if you have any dermatological problems, issues, redness, irritation. It also has anti aging benefits and it has like overall barrier repair antioxidant benefits. And so that's skin. And then the other place where it can add value is obviously like nutritional and in the gut. So that's what I was like excited about. I was not so much, I want to create a beauty brand. I was like, I want to help people feel better. Oh, wow. Seaweed could be something. Wow. We have really good seaweed here. Okay. How do I meet a seaweed farmer? I met a seaweed farmer. Okay. Let's start extracting. Let's say I got a chemist, I got a seaweed farmer. Okay. Let's start extracting this and see what we could make out of it.
Okay, I've got such a weird question, but, like, how do you go about from, like, a regulatory perspective, how do you go about extracting a resource? Is there a huge regulations around that, or could the seaweed farmer just they have a license to, like, harvest
They
seaweed
have a
at their
license, yeah,
Yeah,
just like any fishery.
yeah, cool.
So he has our seaweed farmer works with some of the First Nations tribes on Vancouver Island, and a lot of them are fishing communities that have had to pivot or add other economic resources to their portfolio because of overfishing in BC
Right.
and the fish lice problem, right? So we've had like a decline in our salmon population. So they're looking for alternative ways of evolving what they have to offer. And seaweed farming is actually quite, to my understanding, I've never done it myself, but I believe it's something that is pretty easy to get up and running. Seaweed grows very naturally and well here. It also increases biodiversity within the oceans, clean water, brings back fish, brings back all the marine life. So the seaweed farmers are growing the seaweed also as a complementary um, path to their fishing.
Cool.
Yeah,
Right,
and
because
they don't
okay, I
actually
see.
farm all the seaweed, they leave seaweed gardens.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. So
The
just
things
think
you've
of
learned, did you ever, like, think that you'd be saying something like the seaweed gardens in your life?
yeah, I don't know, no, but I have always been fascinated with nature, and
Yeah.
I'm so fascinated with seaweeds because they are not a plant even. They're a cyanobacteria. They don't have like a root system. They take all their minerals and nutrients from the ocean, and they can do photosynthesis. Like our bull kelp can do photosynthesis like 100 feet deep in the water. So that's why they're like super overachieving microorganisms,
Like
which is
you.
why they're yeah, yeah. It's like I can relate to seaweed. We're so
We're one and the
yeah,
same.
they're resilient. That their resilience
Cool.
and their ability to adapt to the deep, dark oceans of British Columbia. If you've ever gone storm watching here, you know what I'm talking about. Like, this is not for the lighthearted person like living out here in the wild, and that's what the seaweeds have done. So because of that, they've made these amazing kind of healing properties within their cell structure that we can benefit from.
That is so freaking cool. And you know what? Something you said earlier was like you were saying from a business perspective, but I think also your personality is like you wanted to disrupt. And I feel like this is a
Hmm.
disruptor. Like this you weren't just wanting to do niacinamide because like
Yeah,
everyone has
no, I was trying to
niacinamide.
find something
Yeah.
innovative that
Yeah.
could help her. How can I
Yes.
help her
Yes.
get ready faster, feel good, heal her body, feel stronger, and so she can get back to doing the things she loves? The other thing when I did all that customer research that really resonated with me personally and was part of Maris Dae and like the brand and what I wanted to build was I asked her if I could give you a free day with no obligations, nothing that you have to do. Like, how would you spend your day? And most of the people I interviewed, 35 people, almost all of them said like doing something outside with the people they love. I'm like, there's just
Oh.
something really strong, and there's always been a strong calling towards like the natural world for me. And I grew up, that way. And when I think even about the choice of Vancouver over Toronto and career paths and sticking with wellness, I think there is something there that's also tying me back to just being outside, feeling healthy. I do think time outside would solve a lot of our emotional, physical health problems, all of it,
Yes. It's
for all of us. So
so
I was
true.
like, really want to use something from nature that we can call that has a calling for people to reminder, maybe you don't have time to get outside, but you're putting this on and it's kind of
Yeah.
like a cue back to, yeah, that summertime vacation we had where we spent weeks on the ocean or on the lake.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Congratulations. And you've started with an insanely beautiful duo, which is the body wash and a body serum, which
Yes.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't really know what you meant by serum because I was like, okay, I know the serums I would put on my face. Like, how does that work on the body? It works. I got my package right after vacation. I'm like a bit haggard from quote unquote vacation, 2 weeks away, visiting my family in Ontario. Uh, 2 kids under 5. It's not a vacation. I was feeling a bit
No,
rough. And I
okay,
was just
it's the
telling you before,
same.
my house
Okay.
is an absolute disaster. But before I chatted with Dr. Sarah Harbottle, who is your head of product on your
Yeah.
team, naturopathic doctor, I was like, "Oh, I need to shower. Let me whip out my Maris Dae." I haven't actually, like, properly used it in the shower yet. So I get in the shower. I'm just, like, again, feeling a bit, like, dysregulated, and I pump. It's such a small thing, but I pumped the bottle. First of all, the bottle's glass, and I was like, "Yes, love that. It looks beautiful in my shower." I pumped the bottle. It is the perfect amount of product that comes out in the pump. Like, I
I've
know they're
heard that
small
before too.
things.
No, it's a small thing, but it does make you're like, "Yes."
Because when you're doing multiple pumps, you're like, "Oh,
Texture.
I'm wasting the product. Am I gonna go through
Mhm.
this in 2 weeks?" You know what like, these are psychological things. So I do that, and I'm putting it on, and I know that you guys don't use synthetic fragrance, which I was actually a fragrance-free girly since I was little because I get really major skin reactions from it. My dad was the
Mm.
same. And everyone would smell like Tide at school, and I was, like, so jealous because I wanted to smell like Tide too. Anyway, so I'm, like, in the shower, I smell it, and I'm like, "Oh, thank God, like, I know this is a synthetic fragrance, like, that's so nice, my skin's not gonna get all itchy from it." I'm, like, putting it on, lathering it, it was such a nice moment. It was like this aromatherapy explosion too. It wasn't too much, but just is it orange? What was it?
Yeah, there's
Negroli?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
neroli,
Neroli?
grapefruit,
Negroni.
rose, Negroni, a little Negroni afterwards. Yeah, that's all good. Yeah, that's kind of part of the vibe. Yeah,
Uh,
it is all essential oils. And there's a little bit of sage and sandalwood. So it's like smoky, floral, and citrusy. And I
mm,
worked for a long time on that fragrance to get that just right. I think elevated, refreshing. Um, yeah, and it just leaves a hint on your skin, but
it's
not
so nice.
overbearing, overpowering. And
No, no.
the serum is full of active ingredients, so that's why, and
Ooh,
it's not, so when you get into moisturizing products, you can have some that are just like occlusive, which is leaving like a layer on your skin, which would be
yes,
like a Vaseline or a waxier product. And then you have emollients, which are just kind of like these soothing, moisturizing ingredients like oils or shea butters. And where what we've done is added actives in with that. And so the active ingredients are the niacinamide, the hyaluronic acid, and the seaweed. So for your body, you're not just putting, your traditional lotion is just some really nice like shea butter
right?
and some emollients, and they just coat the skin, but they don't actually penetrate your skin barrier to repair the skin, which is why it's a
Fascinating.
serum. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to do.
Fascinating.
Like where you're putting it on your legs, they feel really dry. You spent, you know, two
Yeah,
weeks away in the sun or post skiing in the winter, whatever. And
yeah.
it's actually going to leave your skin healthier. That's the
Oh,
goal.
and that was a fantastic I love, like, that feeling. Okay, I'm actually gonna be honest, I'm not a huge body lotion person because I actually do
Yeah.
feel like it's just slipping around on my skin, and then
Sticky.
it's
Yeah.
sticky, and I'm like and I always say I'm such an itchy person, like, in the winter. I've always just had, like, sensitive, itchy skin, and then I put this serum on, and I'm a texture person, so I was kinda nervous. I'm like, "Oh, is it gonna be, like, sticky in my thighs?"
Yeah. No, it's
And
thick. Me too.
no!
Thick. Yeah. No.
Yeah, and it just, like, again, like, that nice one it was maybe 1 or 2 pumps, it wasn't, like, anything you weren't just, like, hounding this bottle, like, squirting it, and it was so nice. I think I posted on Instagram, I'm like, "Oh my god, the absorption." Like,
Yeah.
let's talk about the absorption. It was just lovely, and my skin was thirsty for sure, and
We
it was so
basically
nice.
put the most high-end, like, skincare ingredients into it, and again, it took
Love
me
it.
2 years to R&D that because after we found the seaweed, we knew we wanted to use seaweed, but the actual, like, design and development of the product itself, it takes some time, and I was working with the chemists, but I was in the lab, like, testing them on my skin, like, "Nope, too sticky, nope," and ironically, a lot of ingredients that you would often find in natural products, it was like the jojoba oils and the shea.
Mm,
I was like, "Nope, not good, not good, too sticky," so we went with emollients.
cool.
Anyway, it was so fun to develop, and it's so I don't know the word. It's so fulfilling for me to hear that other people are using it in the way that I'd hoped, and it's actually doing its job and it's performing. And that, I mean, that fills my cup. I don't even care what happens to the business. I'm like so satisfied. I'm like, hey, it took me 2 years. I
Mhm.
found something I got excited about. Wow, it seems like it's working and other people are excited about it too. So that's super fulfilling.
Congrats. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's such a moment. It's hiding in my bathroom. My children will not have access to it.
Yeah.
However, they kind of have my skin. And so I actually did put a little bit on my son, which I felt comfortable doing because I know you and I know that
Yeah.
it would be totally fine for kids. Because he, had a little rashy bit. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put a little bit of this on you.
Try the seaweed. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Dr. Sarah Harbottle joined our team. She's a naturopathic doctor, and so she's diving deep into the science with me on this, and like how can we develop it in the future and get to the supplement line, which is where we're going to,
Right. Okay.
right? Gut. But she has a daughter with eczema, and that's
Mm.
what sold her on it. She was like, "I use this on my daughter, and it cleared it like nothing else did." And so we're also gonna do a even more like repairing, gentle formula for kids and stuff. We'll remove some of the actives and make it a little more slightly less scented.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's coming soon, like in within months. So we'll definitely make sure we get it
Oh,
for your
get out.
kiddo to
Oh,
try. Yeah.
yes. Okay. Well, we will share when that launches. I'm so pumped. I'm so excited for you. What are you most excited about? Oh, actually, no, I want to ask you about the gut piece of this because and
Yeah,
I
the
know we're running out of
supplements.
time, but like the supplements, tell me, like what does ingesting seaweed do for you
The
then?
seaweed. Okay,
Yeah.
well, there are like nutritional benefits to seaweed, and there's a lot of cultures who consume and eat seaweed in their diets every day. But for some reason, us in North America, we just like haven't caught on to it.
Why are
So
we
we're
the worst?
yeah, we're like really missing out.
Yeah.
But the real benefit of the seaweed is the pre and postbiotic benefits. That's what we're researching right now. I'd say it's like emerging research because it's a type of fiber that kind of like, if you think about chia seeds, you know how they create that kind of like gushy texture? Seaweed kind of has a similar thing with the gelatinous texture, and that goes through your intestine, can clean out your intestine. But it also has all these antioxidant benefits and then all these minerals in it. So it's giving you nutrients, but it's also kind of like improving your intestinal and your gut barrier. And so that's what we're focusing on. I think it will be gut health really, um, and fiber. We're working right now on, do we want to include other ingredients with the seaweed? Is the seaweed
Mhm.
just simple to be used on its own? How would this fit into her supplement stack? I
Mhm.
am not one of those people who wants to take 10 supplements. So it's like, what is the priority level for her? Does she want collagen in there? Does she want a creatine? I don't
Mhm.
know. So
Yeah.
this is like a 2 year evolution probably for the brand, and why Sarah's been part of the team, and she'll very much be leading on this because she is a naturopathic doctor who deals with clients every day. And often problems with your skin and your health start in your gut. So we're
Ain't
trying to
that the
help
truth?
people lead healthier,
Yeah.
more energetic lifestyles. Like we have to support them there as well as topically. So topically, we kind of felt like we got this nailed, and the science is a little more evolved there.
Mm.
Whereas the gut is going to it's a little more emerging, and we'll have to be, gosh, we gotta move fast, though. We're gonna be, like, early to market on this.
Yes. Yes.
You may see Irish sea moss if you're in the scene. If you're into the supplement world, you may have seen Irish sea moss. It is a
Yeah.
type of sea algae that people are consuming right now, but I'd say, like, the science around that and the way that they're consuming it, to me, needs some more work,
Mm.
and I do think our seaweeds, when we do molecular composition, have more in them than Irish sea moss. I'm, like, very
Is this
excited
like a
about that.
moon race? Like, we're, like, competing with Ireland here? We're like,
Yeah,
"Hey,
yeah,
Vancouver
yes.
versus the Irish?
Yes,
Who's gonna win in the
and
seafood
for
race?"
skincare, it's in Korea and China.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
our seaweed
Cool.
farmer, that's his world where he's going, like, global with this. He's like, "We have the best seaweed in
Good.
in North America, some of the best seaweed is coming from BC." I'm one of the first seaweed farmers who's doing this type of thing, extracting it. We're extracting it in our own unique way. That's our thing at Maris Dae. So it's our, like, 2 types of seaweeds that they come from BC, and then we're extracting it in a certain way in our lab. And our extraction is our Mari element, which is going into all of our products.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's definitely emerging. There could be some copycat brands. There could be some big, big, big brands who are already working in this category. But what we have is complete ingredient transparency and supply chain alignment all within Vancouver. Hard for someone to replicate that, right?
Totally.
So they might be able to buy seaweed from Vancouver, but they can't like make it and extract it all here. And
Right.
we're going to be early to market on it either way. But yeah, a lot of the seaweed industry, I think, is coming from Chile, China. The seaweeds are harvested in other places.
Yeah.
BC's new, newer, Alaska. There's some in
My
Alaska.
gosh. Well, I can't
Yeah.
wait for like a little come with us to farm the seaweed video, or maybe I can come
Yeah,
on the
it's
boat because I
coming.
like I get so nerdy on stuff. Like I love knowing how things are made. I think that's so cool. You're so wicked. Your whole story
Thank you.
is so incredibly inspiring. Resilience is just that word that and audacious in the best way are the words that are really coming to
Yeah.
mind as I think about you and
I,
your story and what you're up to. And man, you're gonna make the seaweed explode, and then there will be copycats of which you can be like, that's how you know you've made it when people are trying to
yeah,
copy
that's
you.
okay too. I mean,
Yeah.
my pillar is helping people lead healthier lives. So I'm like, okay, well, if it educates them or inspires them to consume other products that are healthy and good for them,
Yes.
I'm happy with that. I don't
Yes.
need to own the whole. I'm not a big I don't believe that people just choose one product or one brand. I think we all need like complementary to
Mhm.
give ourselves the maximum benefits in our lives. So I don't expect to like own someone's like counter or their shelf. And B, I don't think that type of mindset is beneficial. I don't think being like very competitive in an already saturated space is going to support my growth. I'm
Mm.
more of an expansion person. So okay, someone's over here doing this, we're doing this. It's kind of a little bit different. Here's why we're different. Here's why
Yeah.
we think you should try us.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
looks like that's what you're doing in terms of your marketing. Like you are partnering with complementary businesses with,
Yeah.
the Vancouver swimwear, which is like so cool
Yes.
because it's ocean. Like there's just like really, really
And
neat
even
as a
other beauty
yeah.
brands. Actually, there's
Yeah.
another brand and she makes other moisturizing kind of beauty products. And she reach out to us to carry our product in her store. And like
Cool.
that's the type of openness that I want to work within. I want to meet other founders that are doing cool and interesting things. Even if they're in the same exact category, we're doing kind of different products. And
Mm.
that's fine. That's great.
Totally. Like,
Yeah.
like if someone's doing the face, like the face is a whole other thing, then
Yeah, there's a
perfect. Like, how great is
sunscreen,
that?
there's
Yeah.
deodorant brand that we're giving a
Yeah.
giveaway right now. Like I use these other products all day, every day. So who am I to say
Totally.
And frankly, they've done a lot right. I could learn
Yes.
from them, right? I'm
Yes.
like, oh, if I'm
Yes.
closing myself off and I don't want to tell anyone about my story and I don't want to, share my thinking on this, then I'm also closing myself off to receiving, right? From someone else who's farther along or who's learned a lesson along the way and could share
Mhm.
their story with me.
Mhm. I love it. If you were to give, advice to the person listening who's like, "I wanna live life harder," what have you learned about, like, how to do that in your journey?
Oh, okay. I I think the first element is to figure out what that is for you
Mm.
because we all have different things that fill our cups. And sometimes that's hard to even identify. And that's why when I look back, I'm like, oh, it makes sense now. But I don't think I would have necessarily known that entrepreneurship was the path for me. But when I look back, I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't choose the big conglomerate out of MBA school job. I preferred to work for a smaller creative startup. My whole life, even as a child, I was called Pickle because I like to poke the bear. I was not the sweet I was not the one to get in line. I was like, "Why do we need to line up?" That was
Ah,
me,
so
sassy.
good.
Yeah, like I was not so knowing myself and then knowing my values. And then once I know those things, put my head down and just go and
Mm.
ignore everything else because again, things are like I picture myself like a little horse trudging up a mountain and I'm going trying to get to the peak. I'm carrying a bunch of stuff behind me and there's boulders coming at me and I'm just trying to go around them, trying to go around them and like, oh, got knocked over, get up again. Let's go. Here we go. Keep going, keep going. And I think that would be the lesson. It's not manifestation or big inspiration. It's kind of more like little baby steps along the way and to keep picking up your feet and going in that direction. To me, that's what live life harder is. Um, knowing your ultimate goal and direction, but then just kind of like trudging through the day to day to get there.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're having fun, like, you've had fun along the way too, like,
Yeah, not taking it too
you're
seriously.
someone who likes to climb the mountain. Like, you're enjoying like, you don't right? So, I
You're
think
never
that's
gonna reach the peak. That's the
no.
whole irony of it.
Yeah,
We
no, that
always
I
think
know.
we always think that's where we wanna be. We don't. We actually
No.
wanna be on the journey. The journey is the point.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
that's the
journey is
joke
the
with the
point.
name of this podcast. My husband, he's a very black and white gentleman, and he is a marketer. We met in advertising back in the day, and he's like, all figured out. It's a bit presumptuous, don't you think? I'm like, no, the ladies get it. It's like there ain't you're no one's got it figured out. Nobody will ever have it all figured out. But let's get like the little bits and pieces from different guests and their experiences, and let's like, I don't know, crowdsource the figuring out. That's the
Yeah.
whole thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and we all need to figure out our own pathway up,
Yes.
and what the goal at the top of the mountain is, because it's gonna be different for everybody.
100%. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing your story, for coming on. I could chat with
Thank
you
you
for
for having
multiple
me.
hours. I'm so excited to have you at the
I
Breakfast Club at the time of recording. We're having the Breakfast Club next week where yourself and Dr. Sarah Harbottle are coming to just jam with our wonderful crew there, and a little surprise for our guests, which I'm so excited to get to pamper
Yes.
them.
Yes, me too. And just like meet some of the other women in the community. And thank you for everything that you do, gathering women together, inspiring them. Like life can be challenging sometimes. So it's really nice to just hear other people's journeys and remind ourselves that, yeah, we don't all have it figured out. And that's okay
Later.
too.
No, but
Yeah.
seaweed could be the answer to your problems. So go
It
grab
could
some
help.
Maris Dae.
It could help. It might not be the only thing, but yes, I'm hoping it gives you a little moment
Yeah.
and also just makes you feel amazing and gives you a little
Yes.
bit of a boost to get back to the most important things in your day, which is probably
Yeah.
family, outside
Yes.
time,
Yes.
you know, going after your values and your big dreams. So
Yeah, I love it. And
yeah,
thank you. You have a wonderful, very generous code. I
thank
was
you.
telling you, I know that from the product side, codes are like, it's hard. Margins are tight these days. And so you are giving 20% off to
Yes.
our listeners, which is incredible. All figured out 20 is the code. Head to Mari Day. Is it maridae.com? I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
MARISDAE.com. And yeah,
Yes.
use your code and get your hands on it before it sells out again. We've sold out twice already since our launch. So,
Okay, let's
yeah,
sell them
I
out.
love
Sell
supporting,
them
and
out.
I love supporting moms and women
Yay.
doing it all. So,
Yay.
please try it. Please DM us. Let me know what
Yeah.
you think.
Yes.
We're such a small business. I'm in the DMs, guys.
Sam's the DM.
If you have questions, you can just Instagram DM Murray Day and I will
Yay.
answer.
Yay. So, so exciting. Thanks again.
Thank you. Okay. See you soon.
Bye.